The next Star Wars show, the hotly anticipated Ahsoka series for Disney Plus, has actually been seen by fans and critics alike. There are also some crazy updates to the release schedule for Ahsoka that are super hype. Let's freaking go. Okay, so first up, and this is just so damn cool, but it appears that Disney is actually learning, and they're now going to be releasing the Ahsoka series Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and that's 9 p.m. Eastern time. And that's freaking awesome for me. It means I'll be able to do watch parties for the entire series, and I'm really excited about that. I'll be doing that over on my live streaming channel, but I also think it's just going to be good for the show overall. I mean, Star Wars probably looked over at platforms like Amazon that release shows like The Boys and also Invincible earlier on, like not at 3 a.m. Eastern time. And even House of the Dragon would release the show at a 9 p.m. time. And I think this just really helps to allow people on the East Coast to participate in not only watching the show, but engaging about the show on social media. Like, that's a huge part of it, is like the social media imprint, the word of mouth for a show. And so it's just great that they're finally going to be releasing these shows at a reasonable time. So Tuesday night at 9 p.m. I'll see you guys over on the live streaming channel for that watch party. Let's go. Okay, next up, let's talk about the reactions for this show. Now, two different things are happening. There were a bunch of fan screenings that Disney held, and it appears that the people that went to those were sort of a mixture of fans and also influencers and, you know, some critics. And these screenings happened at different theaters, but also in Disney parks. But separately, Lucasfilm has put out the screeners, which are just like the way to watch it digitally if you are a critic. Okay, so let's get into it. First up, Big Screen Leak says Ahsoka is absolutely fantastic. It's a spiritual successor to Rebels and feels like classic Star Wars, which I love. Natasha Portizo is perfect as Sabine, and Kevin Keiner's score is delightful. When it's all said and done, this could end up being Filoni's finest work. Eric Davis says the first two episodes of Ahsoka are a lot of fun, especially for fans of Rebels and Clone Wars. Love Ahsoka's fight scenes the most. The first episode is written and directed by Dave Filoni. It's my favorite of the two, definitely more serious in tone. This is some good Star Wars. Eric Goldman says a promising start for Ahsoka with many cool story elements that expand the Star Wars universe and feel different from Mando. Episode 1 has some slow moments involving a MacGuffin, but episode 2 really gels. Sabine is a standout. I think those meeting her for the first time will really dig her. Tessa Smith says it might be called Ahsoka, but it's basically a live-action Rebels, and I'm not mad at it. First two episodes made me cheer, laugh, cry, and really want a Lothcat. Great lightsaber fights and lots of heart. If you haven't seen the Rebels animated series, watch it now. Steve Frosty Weintraub says first two episodes of Ahsoka are really good. Even if you've never seen Rebels or Clone Wars, it's super easy to follow. Impressed with the action and how it's all story. No side missions or filler. Can't wait to see episode 3. Wish I could watch future episodes on a movie screen. Charles Murphy says, woke up to learn I had access to the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. Episode 1 is fantastic. Part New Hope, part Raiders of the Lost Ark, part Rebels sequel, obviously. I'll say this, Filoni is getting good. I mean, really good. He goes on to say episode 2 is shorter, but a very good installment in the ongoing New Republic saga. Steph Green nailed the assignment. And Christian Harloff says, great start for Ahsoka. Kevin Keiner's a genius with the music in this. There are traces of the old school, and he makes it his own. And there is a full story happening here, and it feels like the start of a movie, more than episodic television show. And I want to kind of linger on what Christian said for just a second, because he put out like a 4-minute video, and I watched it. I felt it was really interesting. So one of the first things he talks about is the friend that he went with to see this premiere actually has never watched Rebels. And the big question, the concern was, is this person going to be lost? And apparently the person was not lost. I'm absolutely certain there's a ton of stuff in there that maybe that person didn't fully enjoy or fully understand. But as far as the story and being able to understand what's going on, it's not like necessary that you would have watched Rebels. And obviously Christian is an OG in the Star Wars space. Many of us watched Jedi Council while we were getting hyped up and excited to go see The Force Awakens for the first time. And although I don't always agree with Christian, like with Andor, I do value his opinion, and I do find that a lot of the time we share a similar sensibility with how we enjoy our Star Wars. We're also both big Dave Filoni fans, which is awesome. And Christian seems elated by this and thinks it's great and really like a story. Like he kept talking about that in his video, that it feels very deliberate and not as sort of winding as some of the Mandalorian can be with filler episodes. There appears to be just an idea for a story here, and we're just going for it. And so obviously, guys, this is pretty positive stuff. A lot of people very positive on the series. Now, I will say a couple of things that were negative that I saw out there. Number one, I did see somebody who maybe deleted their tweet because I couldn't find it after I was looking for it later on, but somebody had said that the first episode was very slow. I even heard somebody say it was Andor-esque. Oh, God, no. And even among the positive reviews that we just went over, there was one of them that mentions some MacGuffin in the first episode and how it drags a little bit. And so that very long initial episode might end up feeling a little bit slower. Perhaps that's why they tacked on the second episode to kind of show you that the first episode is more of a movie intro, and then we kind of get going with the pace of the story. So all of that's good. Now, there's another thing that we obviously have to address here, and I saw people talking about this online, that there were a lot of empty seats for the fan screenings that they did in the different Disney parks. And so a lot of people are wondering, of course, because of where Star Wars is at, like, how's the show going to do? Like, is this show good? Number one, yeah, but is this show going to be rejected by audiences because Star Wars fans are just so upset with Lucasfilm and so just burnt out on what Disney has been doing with these big IPs? It's a legitimate question. What's going on? Well, personally, I think just nobody knew about these fan screenings. I mean, I definitely didn't know about them until like a day ago, and I'm wondering if it was by design, if Disney had kind of kept it on the low and perhaps only invited certain kinds of channels or influencers that honestly probably don't really have that big of a reach, but are a little bit more friendly to Disney. I think that's probably okay to say, right? So I absolutely think it's fair to like take all of this with a grain of salt. These are people that got access. These are people that are more apt to really like it. But the critical responses, especially from people like Charles Murphy, people like Frosty, these people are pretty critical. They look at things with a critical eye. So it's absolutely great to hear that the show's delivering, that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And look, a lot of people are just wondering, is this show going to succeed? Is this just going to be like the other Disney Plus Star Wars shows? Or are we truly getting something different? Is this the turning around of what Star Wars could be? Is this like that North Star for how Star Wars should approach their content and their shows from here on out? And right now, there's a lot of buzz behind the scenes that's suggesting that that's exactly what it is. That's what I've come to believe it is. That's what I hope it is, that it's going to be this awesome show that's going to basically just turn things around. Like, I want to be able to say we're back, and I think we're going to be able to do that. But there's obviously a fair amount of skepticism, truly a fair amount of folk out there that either don't think it's going to be that great, aren't that excited about it, or just have their expectations severely dampened by all the other things that have happened with the Star Wars brand. But I'll tell you briefly why I think it's different from my perspective. First of all, this show is Dave Filoni's baby, right? It's Ahsoka, a character he created, something that's very meaningful to him. And as opposed to Kenobi, where we got some plot leaks that seemed really weird and things that were incredibly controversial for Star Wars fans, there's been nothing like that with the Ahsoka show. I know some people are trying to make a large to-do about this one particular leak that has to do with Anakin, but it's being spun completely out of proportion. And also, even in the worst case scenario, it's still a dope scene that doesn't really tread on any of the legacy moments in Star Wars in the same way that the Kenobi leaks did. So basically, everything we've heard from the leaks and rumors suggests the show is fantastic, bold in its direction. It's going to do some absolutely incredible things. And without going into what's actually in these first two episodes that everybody just saw, it's a lot of lightsaber fighting, a lot of action, a lot of Star Wars, like stuff that I think is going to really blow people away. And so it really and truly seems like the hype is real with Ahsoka, and we're actually going to get something absolutely incredible. And I think them moving the time is brilliant. So there you go, guys. The first reactions to Ahsoka, what different people are saying, what I think is going on with the show, and why I'm really, really excited about it. So let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below, and I will see many of you there for the watch party Tuesday night. I can't wait.